In my hands today is the highly anticipated and highly rumored Canon R50, which is going to solidify the Canon entry-level RF mount system.
Before we get into the specs on this camera, I think it's important to discuss what this camera is and where Canon is aiming it. Now, looking at the specs, the rumored price point where this is going to come in, it does seem very clear that Canon is aiming this camera specifically at that entry tier content creator, currently shooting on a phone, maybe shooting on a more compact camera, wanting to step up, try interchangeable lens systems, and just get a general bump in quality. So I think Canon is aiming this directly at that market, trying to capture that little space, where at the moment, in the RF system, they're not playing yet.
Now that we know where the R50 is sitting in the range, let's quickly chat about the specs. So this is a 24 megapixel crop sensor with a Digic X processor, quite a powerful chip in there. This will give you the dual pixel AF system too, so all the fancy tracking modes, but also something we noticed is the new auto mode. So it will automatically decide, is it a human, is it a pet, is it a vehicle? That's quite cool to see in this model. You also have between 12 and 15 frames per second, so definitely capable of shooting multiple bursts in photography.
On the video side of things, the specs are pretty decent as well. So you've got 4K at a maximum of 30 frames per second. You've got Full HD all the way up to 120 frames per second. That is available in a HEVC wrapper, and you are going to be topping out at a 10-bit 422 sampling rate on this unit over here. And that's going to give you about 120 megabits per second encoding, which is decent. You can definitely shoot with it. You can edit that footage without worrying too much about breakup. But in this unit here, you do not have Canon's C-Log 3. And I would have liked to see that in here because that would have really helped put it into that like content creator space. But at the same time, you know, people who shoot here, do they edit that heavily? I don't know. It's a bit of a difficult thing, but they can probably add that with firmware. But pretty decent video specs all in all.
Now looking at the body and ergonomics of this unit, it's pretty standard for sort of Canon's entry-level setup. It has your one function dial. So if you do want to shoot in full manual and change aperture, you generally need to hold in a button to switch. You also have a microphone input, but no headphone output. Again, I think for vlogging or content creation, that'll be fine. You just want to add like a better microphone to the system.
Yeah.
Shoots with the traditional LPE17 battery and one SD card slot. Now, something we do want to talk about is this new shoe port for your flash system. So what is cool is it has Canon's multi-port shoe, which is quite cool and sort of a new port that we've been seeing with Canon's flash system. But there is a little bit of a tricky situation if you look at the pins.
Yeah, so the tricky situation is that there are no pins. So this is going to make it very tricky if you want to add in third-party flashes. So if you're maybe somebody who shoots Godox or Hanel flashes or anything like that, this is going to be a little bit of an adjustment. Now they do have an adapter for it that you will need to get to adapt it. Probably not the end of the world, you know, it's not that big a deal, but I do wonder what would be the point of removing it, you know, in a port or at least a flash shoe that's been made for decades. Removing it, is that really logical? I don't know. Everything else on here though, pretty decent. Little dedicated on-off switch on the side over here, dedicated record button, mode dial, all very nice, like no real complaints. The only thing that I will say though, and I know it's not an issue for everybody, but for me, it's just too small. I struggle with the grip over here, but I get it. It is an entry-level camera and it is purposefully designed to be small and compact. And small and compact, they definitely nailed. Like this thing is tiny. It's like 80% lens mount. There's very little body. It is literally just a massive lens mount with a sensor and a fully articulating screen on the back. So
we've been shooting on the R50 for probably the last 2 weeks. We kind of went with the camera on most of our shoots with various cameras as sort of like a B cam or like a behind the scenes cam. Some of our guys in the marketing department were also shooting sort of like reels content and sort of social media content, because this is kind of where the R50 will sit. It will sit for companies or individuals that want to buy it and they want better performance than a cell phone. They want a bigger sensor, they want better depth of field, they want more control over the camera. And that definitely fits the bill. And it's good to see Canon finally bringing out this sort of camera like an M50, but just with the RF mount and obviously way more power.
Yeah, definitely way more power. And I'll kick it off by mentioning the thing that we mention in every single Canon video that we do. And also, if you watched our R8 video, exactly the same thing. The autofocus in this thing is amazing. There is almost nothing better than Canon's dual pixel AF2 at this stage. It is incredible. And again, it's that trickle down technology that Canon has been doing with these RF cameras. And it is so good to see that they're not holding back on those things. So here you have essentially the same autofocus system as is in the R3, the R6 Mark II, the new R8 that they just launched as well. It works so well. Shooting stills, shooting video, it's like cheating. It is so easy. Now, you can't talk about the autofocus system without mentioning the image quality. And I think the image quality that you get out of this is perfectly good. It's very similar to what we saw out of the R10, and that is really good image quality in an APS-C sensor. Nothing unexpected. Canon colors, so nice and vibrant, nice and punchy, especially when you do some mild editing on it. Really a good all-round system, like no complaints there. Exactly what we expected. In terms of the sharpness that it delivers, coupled with that new RF lens mount, you do get a whole new generation of lenses that you can use. So the sharpness that you get out of it is better than I expected, because we're all kind of used to sort of like older generation kit lenses and that kind of thing. And it's actually very good in this unit. Again, exactly like we saw with the R10, kind of like its bigger brother. The video that you get out of it as well, sharp, good colors, no complaints, but for one. We did shoot quite a bit with the digital IS, because this unit does not have IBIS in it. And when you do shoot with the digital IS, there is quite a bit of jello happening, which is a little bit weird because I kind of expect to see that with IBIS systems and not really with digital IS. So it could just be because this is a pre-production unit, so could be some firmware tweaking that is required to get that right, which they'll probably do before launch. But as we saw this unit here, a little bit of a weird jiggle happening in some of those video clips. Other than that though, no complaints, good, solid performing camera, exactly what it should be for this segment of the market.
Yeah, and if you are looking at a camera for social media content, even entry-level photography or videography, and you're ready to jump to an RF lens system, the R50 is going to deliver, and it's going to be the perfect sort of solution for you. That's going to be it for our first preview on the Canon R50. If you think the R50 is going to be for you, keep an eye out on the ORMS website for availability and price.
Yeah, and guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like and consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps us out a lot. And if there's anything that you'd like to know about the R50, comment down below. We'll answer all your questions. We love hearing from you guys. Until next time, cheers.